Welcome, Rotarians and guests of the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. My name is Doug Berman. I have the privilege of serving as president this year. On this date in history, I actually had to go with two today. There's two things I want to recognize. One, actually both in 1962, 36-year-old Marilyn Monroe was found dead in her home in Los Angeles from a drug overdose on this day. Also, on I didn't say they're uplifting. They're historical significance. No. All right. 1962, anti-apartheid leader Nelson Mandela was arrested in South Africa, serving decades of imprisonment. So again, those are meaningful dates. I didn't say they're all uplifting. Jeez, tough crowd. All right. We do have a new member today, which means we will start the meeting by reciting our four-way test. Please join me. The truth, is it fair to all concerned? Will build goodwill and better friendships? Will be beneficial to all concerned. Rotarians use the Rotary four-way test to guide our actions and words. The Rotary Club of York is committed to celebrating the diversity and uniqueness of all people, treating everyone with courtesy, dignity, and respect, especially the club president. And we expect the same from everyone we encounter. Embracing diversity and promoting equity is essential for the betterment of our club and our community and the world. Today's opening song will be led by Jennifer Seal, America the Beautiful, our invocation by Eric Chase, and visitor introductions by Alexis Campbell. Jennifer.
I don't have any problem clapping for myself. I'm an only child. Please join me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Rotarians, there are some days we just need prayer. If you would prepare yourselves in the way you're most accustomed to prayer. Gracious Creator God, we come before you and we thank you for this opportunity to serve rather than be served, to put service above self, and to join as Rotarians in this community. We especially thank you for our speaker, who will tell us about her journey from education to wellness, the balance of the emotional, physical, occupational, social, spiritual, intellectual, environmental, and financial dimensions of our lives. When these things are imbalanced, so are we, and we are better equipped to serve you. We thank you for the return of our RILA students, and we'll hear from them and what their experience were like, and we ask for blessings on them. We especially ask for blessings on this food that has been prepared, the hands that have served and prepared it to us, that we may use it to nourish our body, so we may continue to put service above self and serve you in the many names that we call you. Amen.
Alexis, it's your turn.
Right. I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing our guest for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Doug has welcomed you. Today we have a visiting Rotarian, Heather Rank, all the way from Fargo, North Dakota. Welcome. All right. We have quite a few guests today. We have Wendy Vance, guest of Glenn Smith. Past President Di Hershey, guest of Jen May. Stella Gladson, guest of Andy Harold. Haley Hunter, guest of Youth Leadership. Valerie Medina Gomez, guest of Youth Leadership. Maria Allen, guest of our speaker. Dominique Toombs, guest of our speaker. Patricia Jacobs, guest of our speaker. Natasha Amend, guest of our speaker. Ariel Taylor, guest of our speaker. Lauren Days, guest of our speaker. Carolyn Newberger, guest of our speaker. Kiana Dodson, guest of our speaker. Nasim Ali, guest of our speaker. Melissa Rosario McGarry, guest of our speaker. Sophia Fears, guest of our speaker. Suli Pinos, guest of Kevin Schreiber. Scott Rogers, guest of Steve Whiteley. Erica Stewart, guest of Sterling Dunlap. Gino Sylvester, guest of Garrison Markey. And Emmy Anderson, guest of Jim Anderson Jr. And Wills Anderson, guest of Jim Anderson Jr.
Thank you, Alexis. Welcome to our guests, to our visiting Rotarian Heather. It's great to have you here. My in-laws are from North Dakota. The family reunion trip to North Dakota was one of the worst experiences of my life, but I'm sure Fargo is great. But also great to have past President Di Hershey with us today. To the students, we'll hear from you all in a few minutes. And to all of our visitors, we hope you'll really enjoy today's meeting and hopefully consider joining our ranks in the near future. So Rotarians, please welcome our guests. You may be seated. Before we get into our other announcements, I did want to express condolences to the club's financial vice president, BJ Fegley, on the passing of his mother just yesterday in Florida. Our thoughts are with BJ and his family during this difficult time. In terms of announcements and upcoming committee meetings, the Membership Engagement Committee will meet on Monday, August the 10th at 8 a.m. on Teams. The Communications Committee will meet on August 11th at noon on Zoom. The PPE Committee will meet on Wednesday, August 12th at 8 a.m. on Zoom. Fundraising Committee will meet on Wednesday, August 12th at 10:30 in the Mixed Grill downstairs. And also on August 12th, the Youth Leadership Committee will meet immediately following the club meeting in the Mixed Grill as well. We'd like to highlight last week's Rotary Means Business event, which was certainly a great success. You see some of the pictures from the event. We had over 70 Rotarians from throughout the district attend the event that our club hosted last Thursday, which was a great evening of networking, collaboration, and professional connection. The event highlighted the value of building relationships through Rotary while fostering new opportunities to support one another in business and service. I do want to thank Rotarian Frank Countess for hosting the event at CGA Law Firm, as well as our Membership Engagement Committee for all the time and effort that went into planning such a great event. Special thanks to Alice Muldrow and Lisa Barshinger for taking the lead on the event, and all the members who attended and participated and help our club host the event. I did want to express my admiration to President-elect nominee Cal Weary, who saw Rotary Means Business as the fitting place to take his wife for her birthday. He's not here, so we'll have to bring that up again later. So now committee announcements. I'd like to ask Gina Spangler, a member of the Membership Engagement Committee, to come forward and provide an update. Gina.
Good afternoon, and thanks, President Doug. I clap for myself as well. I'm not an only child, but I love the new rule that we're doing here. Great job, Jen. So a couple announcements that I want to make sure everybody's aware of. First of all, August 13th, we are having a new member happy hour at the Yorktown Hotel. My understanding is we have the rooftop all to ourselves, so that's super special for us as a team or a group of Rotarians. You don't have to be a new member. You can come if you've been in Rotary for 40 years or for 4 days. We would love to see everybody there. And it's also a casual way for us to kind of get together outside of the normal meeting today. The next event I want to talk about is on August 20th. This is our annual crab feed and boat ride by the Etzweiler family. Show of hands, who's been to this event before? It's awesome. We have a great time. We look forward to this every year, and it's open for the entire family. It's a great time. The Etzweilers have such pride in their home by the river, and it's a great place to have some fun with your fellow Rotarians. I will say, though, I think we all go just to see how many crabs past President Aaron can actually eat in a setting. He is the champion, and I'm ready to throw down the mallet at him this year, though. I'm going for gold. I couldn't make it last year. And then finally, September 10th, part of our membership engagement committee is we're going to do another Rotary Biz Tour. And this time we're going to do it at Alice Ann. Alice, where are you at, Alice Ann? We're going to do it at your location. We thought this would be a great way to kind of weave in also culturally. This is Hispanic Heritage Month. And the founding folks with Tech Centro out of Lancaster, that's historically, that's their culture. And it's a really great organization. I'm personally proud to see a former M&T Bank building going to such great use. So yeah, it's just a little plug for that. I did my teller training in that building in the upstairs. So it's very nostalgic for me to go back and see what you guys have done. And so I'm excited that you'll all get to see it. So please sign up. And just for those who don't know, let me just tell you a little bit about what Tech Centro does. They're dedicated to the workforce development and creating pathways to employment for individuals in the community. They do hands-on training, career readiness programs, and they partner with local employers. I know Dr. Serrano, for example, was very instrumental in working with UPMC to help with some of the programs that they have there. And also more exciting is they're going to be opening up a second location that's going to be for trades. We won't get to see that facility this time, but Alice Ann, maybe we can do that in the future. I think that's a great opportunity for us to see it. So this is going to be an excellent opportunity for us all to get together, but also see the good that the Tech Centro organization is doing in our community. So my ask for all of you today is just simply don't make it a mental note to attend, but please take a few minutes after today's meeting and register. In fact, you can do it right now. By the time I get back to my seat, you could get your phone out and use the QR code and register. Come out and spend some time and get to know some other Rotarians. So thank you.
Thank you, Gina, and to the Membership Engagement Committee for planning these three upcoming events. Certainly looking forward to them. Next, I'd like to ask our Committee Chair of Youth Leadership, Leanne Wilson, to come forward and provide an update on RILA.
Thank you. I like being clapped for as well. As you know, Youth Leadership proudly recognizes juniors from the York City Schools as our Students of the Month. One of the biggest benefits to this honor is being able to attend the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards program, which is held in June at Messiah University. It's an intensive multi-day leadership conference designed for the high school students entering their senior year to build communication, teamwork, and citizenship skills. And the Rotary Club of York was able to sponsor two students to attend this year. We have Haley Hunter from York Catholic. As we were sitting at the table, she is looking forward to her senior year of taking an English Lit class and is looking to not stay local for college, hoping to get out of her little circle and major in English or marketing. And she's also here today skipping out on some band camp. So any band nerds like myself out there, cloudy weather's better than the super hot. So at least it's not a heat wave this week. And then our other student is Valerie Medina Gomez from Logos Academy. And she's looking forward to calculus, which Haley's like, oh my gosh, how can you do that? But she is planning to probably say more local. Millersville's on her list, and social work. So any of our nonprofits that need some social work, she might be one of those candidates in the future. So they're here today to share their experience at Ryla. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Valerie Medina Gomez, and I'm a rising senior at Logos Academy, and I was given the opportunity to participate in Raleigh 2026. Because I was student of the month, I was under the impression I was just gonna be with a group of nerds. But when I got there, I was given a warm welcome, and then I was thrown into the group Great Britain, which I would like to say was the best group. Then I got to meet my roommate, which was the scariest part because I didn't know who I was gonna be sharing a room with for the next 4 days. Soon after that, we had to go meet up with their groups, and there I was able to find people who were kind of like me. The first day, I made a connection with a girl named Avery, and she was who I was with all 4 days. And soon after that, I was with a girl named Nashla, and we made a really strong connection really quick. Soon enough, I had a little friend group, which was pretty cool considering that I had just met these people. And yeah, I was able to talk to them like close friends. Throughout the week and during our activities, I was able to be around like more people, even people I wouldn't like normally consider myself around or like usually be around. And it was like a wide variation of people, like super crazy, like our counselor Heather, to really shy and reserved. Everyone was super welcoming and really like inclusive. To dancing people with you didn't really know, to just sitting down and listening to one another. Throughout those 4 days, I learned that Ryla was not just a bunch of nerds, but you know, but a bunch of kids who wanted to make a change and showed many traits of leadership. That is one thing we all had in common. We participated, had fun, and made friends. And I'm more than grateful to have been able to go. Thank you.
Before I begin, I would like to respectfully disagree. The United States of America group was the best group. So I'm just gonna come out and say it. But good afternoon. My name is Haley Hunter. I'm a rising senior at York Catholic, and today I will be telling you about my Ryla experience. I don't have nearly enough time today to tell you about all of my wonderful experiences at Ryla. I learned not just a lot about leadership, but also a lot about Rotary itself, which I now want to and have looked into more. That being said, out of all of the activities that we did, I think my focus has to be on the I am statements. Every day, a few of us would be selected to get up in front of the entire group and give 3 I ams. It was a daunting task at first, especially when no one knew each other. But the activity was never just about finding comfort in speaking publicly. I have done a lot of leadership-related activities in the past, and they have all had the goal of finding the answer to the question, what kind of leader are you? Being such a broad question, it still fits each of us into a box of sorts. This on its own is not an issue at all, but it is where Ryla was different. The I am statements we all had to confess created a practice for me that changed the question of what kind of leader are you to what kind of leader are you? We will always fall under certain categories based on our personalities, but none of us will ever quite lead the same as each other. I still practice my I ams every day in the mirror because it reminds me of who I am as a person and who I am as a leader. I'll leave you with the I am statements that I said at camp when I was still scared, and I hope you too can incorporate this small practice into your everyday lives. I am clever, I'm resilient, and I like to think that I'm funny. I'll add a 4th I am today. I am grateful that I got to go to Ryla. Thank you.
Haley and Valerie, we love hearing the stories of Ryla. We think highly of the program. My hope is that we'll have more students in the future attending and representing the club, but we appreciate you all representing the Rotary Club of York this past year. Glad to that you had a great experience. I was talking to Haley beforehand as alumni of Messiah University. It was great to see the pictures and hear your kind words about the campus and everything. So I think we have at least one other alumni of Messiah, right? There's Jennifer in the back. So the campus looks a little different from what I remember, doesn't it? Okay. Next, Love for Community. I'm gonna ask Bill Anstein to come forward and provide an update on our upcoming fundraising event. Bill?
Thank you for the applause. President Doug, fellow Rotarians, today it is my privilege to address you again on behalf of the fundraising committee. Our big event of the year is coming September 14 on a Monday. I want to tell you, I've been making these announcements for more than 20 years now. And over the years, there's been several constants that we've seen. The first is I'm always dressed in my tennis whites to let you know that it's the purest sport that we engage in here. The second is the introductory music. We always play that for your enjoyment, and it gets your attention, so you'll listen to the announcement. This music, of course, is the theme song from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And that was a movie that I like history just like Doug does. This is the 60-year anniversary of that movie's introduction in 1966. Not as impressive as the tragedy that happened to Marilyn Monroe, but yet it's an historic date. And of course, that music is the most iconic film score probably of all. And that was back in 1966 when, if you haven't seen the movie, you ought to see it. Clint Eastwood was in his prime. The second constant was that we've noticed over the years that our finest athletes, the tennis players, seem to be very reluctant to sign up for the tennis until very late in the season. This is a cause of stress and anxiety for the committee, and we'd like to avoid that this year. So we want to encourage you to sign up for the racket sports, tennis, and pickle. I've looked over my notes from many announcements in the past to see which encouragement worked the best. And I found that in 2018, I guaranteed if you sign up now, you'll have a ball. And of course, we gave out free balls that year, and it worked pretty well. During the Obama years, I promised, if you like your tennis instructor, you can keep your tennis instructor. If you like your tennis program, you can keep your tennis program. And of course, that year we were overbooked. Often I pointed out that of all the activities we offer, the racket sports are the best for fitness. Everyone enjoyed a good aerobic workout in good company on the finest tennis courts in York County. This year, I'm particularly concentrating on the new members, several of whom mentioned in their notes that tennis was one of their hobbies. I'd like them to sign up. Don't be shy. We have players of all levels. I guarantee you will enjoy yourselves. It's easy. You can register on the website or by talking to Judd Lando or myself. Now, in the past, again, as tradition, I frequently close my remarks first by thanking you for your attention, and then by imitating one of our most prominent political figures, whose name will not be mentioned, who seemed to always struggle with numbers. And here it is. Remember these 4 important words. Count them. Sign up today.
Thank you, Bill. I can't help but laugh at that as Jennifer was the one that suggested more clapping. She also suggested walk-up music. So Bill's the first to get that accomplished. But we are looking forward to the Love for Community event on September 14th. Our sponsor numbers are down a little bit, at least in comparison to last year at the same point in time. So if you think you've registered, you might want to double check and make sure, or if you're planning on sponsoring, please get that in as soon as possible. Our Love for Community committee, our fundraising committee, is working very hard, and anything to make their job a little bit easier would be most appreciated. Now I ask past President Josh George to come forward with our new member induction.
Thank you, President Doug. I can see that nobody wanted to clap for me until he actually made you do it. So I appreciate that. Nothing like being the most popular guy at the podium. As always, it's my pleasure to introduce new members to the club. And today I would like to do that with Joe Stefko. Joe is from St. Mary's County in Maryland, where he went to high school. And he went on to the University of Maryland, where he earned his Bachelor of Science degree in chemical engineering. He is the president and CEO of his own consulting firm called Stefko Consulting. His community service includes serving as a board member for the Holy Trinity Catholic School. He is a trustee for the Knights of Columbus, and he's an ambassador for both the York County Economic Alliance and also Downtown Inc. His hobbies include boating, fishing, and playing sports with his kids. He is married to Julie. They are the parents of 6 kids, ages from 10 through 26. Johanna, Joshua, Kristen, Jonah, Jillian, and Carter. And he is proposed for membership by, help me with the pronunciation, Tom Caltagirone. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Stefko.
Patient regarding the break-in process. Good.
Joe has another claim to fame. I believe of all the people, all the visitors that Tom has brought through the years, Joe is the first to actually join the club. So, right? Is that right? That's a fun fact right there. So, all right. Now we'll move on to today's program. I'll ask Rebecca Hanlon to come forward and introduce today's speaker.
4-foot load. Period. Emphasize the importance of working on.
Good afternoon. So good to see you. Earlier this year, I made a conscious effort to surround myself with people who shared qualities that I really admire.
These were
women who are entrepreneurs and mothers. I don't know about you, but when I've met anybody that has those 3 attributes, dynamite. The conversations tend to be thoughtful, grounded, and incredibly insightful. I reached out to a few people I already knew who fit that description and asked if they'd be interested in getting together on a somewhat regular basis. One of them immediately said, slow your roll. If we're going to do this, Ashana has to be at the table. Since then, I've had the chance to get to know Ashana, and it's easy to see why she came so highly recommended. Ashana has proudly called York home since moving here from Maryland in 2014. After spending nearly 20 years in education as both a secondary teacher and higher education advisor, she made the leap into full-time entrepreneurship to pursue her passion for helping others through improving their well-being, through movement, connection, and community. Ashana is a graduate of Leadership's York 2018 Leadership Training Program. She was recognized by the YCEA and Downtown Inc. as a 2023 Changemaker and currently serves on the board of directors for the YCEA. Since opening Fire Life Yoga in 2023, she's grown the studio from just 9 classes per week to nearly 30 weekly offerings, expanding a dedicated team of instructors and staff and cultivating a thriving community that extends well beyond the studio. In today's presentation, Ashana will share her personal journey into entrepreneurship, the lessons she learned while building a small business in York, and how relationships, resilience, and community have shaped both her life and the growth of her business. Please join me in welcoming Ashana Taylor.
Thank you for the applause. And thanks for that lovely introduction, Becca. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to first say thank you to the Rotary Club of York for having me here today. It's such an honor to be able to speak with all of you and share my personal journey into entrepreneurship. My name is Ashana Taylor, and I'm the founder and owner of Fire Life Yoga, located in West York Borough. At Fire Life Yoga, we offer a variety of heated and non-heated classes to help you ignite your inner peace.
Oh, she does. Good.
Prior to opening in 2023,
There
I
you go.
spent 20 years in education, first as a middle school teacher and then as an academic advisor.
Very good.
I like to joke that I left my 9 to 5 to work 24/7, and most days it's worth it.
Second.
When you're an entrepreneur, you risk it all to bring your vision to life.
Further
In the
questions?
early days, you pour everything you have into the one thing that you've decided is your thing. You ride a roller coaster of emotions and also tax brackets within the
Yes.
course of a single day. So today, I would like to tell you how I got here. Not just about the studio and not just about my business,
Good.
but the relationships that made it all
Yeah.
possible. Because when I look back at this journey, I realize that the story that shaped me is a story in 3 parts. It's yours, mine, and ours. There are the relationships that shaped me, the people who poured into me before I even knew what I was building. That's yours. There's the relationship I built with myself, the season where I had to trust a version of me I had not yet fully met. That is mine. And then there's what happens when you're brave enough to let other people in. What gets built when a vision stops belonging to just one person? That is ours. Yours, mine, ours. That's the story I'd like to share with you today. Before I tell you about the studio I built, I must tell you about the village that built me. I was born in Queens, New York, and when I turned 8, we moved to Maryland. For that first year, we lived with my grandparents while my mom, Maria, who's here with me today, settled into a new teaching career in a new state. My grandparents were both retired, and they helped care for me and my 2 older brothers as we adjusted. My family was my first real village. Once my mom landed her dream job in the Howard County Public School System in Maryland, we moved to an apartment in Columbia and eventually bought a house in Ellicott City. I had a magical childhood there. It was a great neighborhood with great schools and friends who became family. My mom built our village one relationship at a time. One of those relationships became a lifelong sisterhood with a close family friend named Miss Pat. She taught at the same school as my mom, and our families grew close, and I grew close to her daughter, Ayana, who was my age. Years later, when I left for my Bikram yoga teacher training, Miss Pat, along with my mom, stepped in to help care for my own children during that time. That's the thing about a village. You don't always know, especially at a young age, which relationships are going to hold you up decades later. My village continued to expand at the University of Delaware when I joined Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, alongside my college roommate and best friend, Leela. Throughout my sorority, I found sisters who would carry me through the most difficult times of my college career. During my sophomore year, at 20 years old, I got married and gave birth to my oldest daughter, Isla. Although life instantly became more complex, I was determined to finish my degree. My husband at the time was working full-time and also working towards his degree in pre-med. Each of our families lived in a different state, but my 2 closest sorority sisters stepped in to provide childcare for our daughter so that we could each focus on our studies. I was surrounded, I was blessed. In 2004, I graduated with a degree in English and a concentration in journalism and a minor in women's studies. I originally wanted to be a broadcast journalist, but by the time I graduated, my life looked nothing like when I started. And I knew the unpredictable hours of an entry-level newsroom job no longer fit into my story. So I decided to explore a familiar path, and I became a teacher. I come from a family of educators, my mom, my uncle, my aunt, so it always felt like it was there waiting for me. My first job was as a long-term substitute for secondary special education in Wilmington, Delaware. On day 1, I met another member of my village, Monique. She was a more experienced teacher who took me under her wing and mentored me. A few years later, when we had my second daughter, Layla, and moved back to Maryland, closer to family, I began teaching in the very school system where I grew up. For 7 years, I proudly taught middle school English, wrote curriculum, and grew into a team leader. But underneath that stability, something was quietly brewing. I had become a mother before I finished becoming myself, and teaching, if I'm honest, hadn't been my first choice. It was a practical choice, and the path that actually fit around a toddler's schedule when broadcast journalism never would. I was good at teaching, I grew to be proud of it, but some part of me always knew I had landed there out of necessity and not out of discovery. It was the only resort that made sense at the time, not the thing I had chosen for myself. Somewhere in the middle of all of it, I was quietly looking for something else, something that was mine and mine alone to choose. Now, let me take you back to where this really began. Not in 2023 when Fire Life opened its doors, but back to 2009. That year, I was in a hard season of my life, raising my 2 young daughters and trying to find steady ground. I didn't have great language yet for what I was feeling: shame over divorce, guilt about uprooting my daughters' lives, and fear of the unknown. As a mother and teacher, I had always been in a position where I felt I had the answers, and this time I had none. I knew I needed to figure it out, so I did what most of us do when we're looking for answers. I Googled yoga. I had no idea at the time that there were different types of yoga: hatha, yin, vinyasa, aerial, kundalini, ashtanga, goat yoga, puppy yoga, beer yoga, Bikram yoga. All I knew is that I found a great deal on a month of unlimited classes, so I immediately signed up online. I walked into that studio with more confidence than I probably should have, and the second I stepped into the room, I thought, it's really hot in here. I actually wondered if the air conditioning was broken. It was not. I spent that entire 90-minute class bending, twisting, sweating, and plotting my escape. The only reason I stayed was because of my teacher, Kat, who also owned that studio and would later become a mentor to me. The entire class, she stayed 10 steps ahead of my excuses to leave the room. Hot, drink water. Tired, lay down on your mat. Sweating, it's your body cooling you off. Her 90 minutes of practical advice and my cathartic sweat revealed to me who I actually was, and more importantly, who I was not, at least anymore. At the end of class, when I finally peeled myself off the mat, I promised myself I would never go back. Guess what? The next day, I went back to get my money's worth, Class by class, something shifted. My confidence grew. That 90 minutes became the one predictable thing in a life that felt unpredictable in every other way. And pretty quickly, I knew I didn't just want to keep taking Bikram yoga. I wanted to teach it. But wanting something and trusting yourself enough to actually leap towards it are 2 different things. It took 3 more years of practice before I finally decided I was going to Bikram yoga teacher training. And even after I decided, it took 2 more years to actually get there: career, family, money. Life doesn't clear a path for you just because you've made up your mind. The training itself was 9 weeks, intensive, immersive, held all the way out in Los Angeles. It was also expensive in more ways than one. To go, I would need to leave my stable job teaching. I'd need to clear out my savings and still find a way to raise money to live for 2 months in LA. And most importantly, before any of that, I needed to know my daughters were safe and settled. Their father and I shared custody, but by that point, he had moved back to Delaware. So for 2 years, I built the plan brick by brick. I saved, fundraised, and leaned into my village. I asked for help. I said no to things I wanted so I could eventually say yes to the one thing I knew deep down I needed. I began walking and the path appeared. In the midst of all of this, I met my husband, Justin, in 2012. He's a York native, And for almost 2 years, we built a long-distance relationship while everything was shifting underneath me. The final sign that it was time to go to training came when my housing situation became uncertain. Justin showed up exactly the way a true partner does, with support, stability, and hope. And when I realized he was one of the brightest parts of the future I was building, I packed up my life and moved to York. 2 weeks later, I flew out to LA for training. I came back a different person. Teaching yoga full-time was a truly fulfilling experience. But reality has a way of catching up with you. I was unmarried, I needed benefits, and my oldest daughter, Isla, had her sights set on a college prep boarding school out in Western Massachusetts, which meant I needed income I could count on. Going back into a middle school classroom felt like a step backward into a life I had already lived. So I took another leap of faith and applied for a job in higher ed. I spent 5 years as an academic advisor at HAC, Harrisburg Area Community College, and another 5 at York College of Pennsylvania. Caring for the people I loved meant learning to make hard, practical choices, even ones that pulled me away from something I had just found the courage to claim. Again, the lesson in self-trust appeared. Sometimes it looks like patience, not speed. When I earned my MBA in 2020, something in me got clearer. I knew I was going to open my own yoga studio right here in West York. Around that same time, my supervisor in academic advising at York College, Kia, handed me a book. It was We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers. That book lit the idea in me that the vision was mine to build. And so on January 19th, 2022, I formed Fire Life Yoga. After initially searching for the perfect location to lease and then calculating that lease math, it became clear that purchasing the building was a better move for this particular venture. Then I found a building, and the moment I walked in, I could already see it. A tiny, mighty hot room packed with sweaty yogis and a front porch filled with joy. What followed was a serendipitous ride, losing the initial bid on that building to a cash investor, and when that deal fell through, finally being able to purchase the building ourselves. Heartbreak to triumph. Once we had the space, that was only the beginning. It took months to find the right contractor, begin the build out, source a custom heating unit from Canada that was built for 105 degrees that we practice Bikram yoga in. We also looked for the perfect sign and had to handle all the things in between. Then came the sweat equity, literally. Evenings and weekends spent preparing the space, assembling furniture, painting, putting the finishing touches on everything before opening day, with Justin, me, and a rotating crew of family and friends who did the heavy lifting. Our youngest daughter, Kinsley, who was 7 at the time, helped too. She dusted, she pulled painter's tape, she planted flowers, all with the focus of someone who took her role very, very seriously. I'm still waiting on her to cash her paycheck. On opening day, after all that work, the heating system did not work. I taught the first class that a couple of people in here were there for, that was supposed to be 105 degrees in an 80-degree room. It took a few days of troubleshooting and trust that it would all work out, but eventually we got the heat going. That's the mine of this story. It was never one dramatic leap. It was a decade of small, deliberate steps, trusting myself enough to start. Here's the thing about that kind of trust. It doesn't stay yours for very long. Eventually, if you're lucky, it turns into something bigger than you. Because somewhere in all that dust and painter's tape, this had already stopped being only mine. And that's where the story goes next. Somewhere along the way, Fire Life Yoga became ours. And if I'm honest, I could not have built it alone. Even before a single class was taught, there were many people who brought this vision forward. There was Wilda from Leadership York, who taught me the rich history of York County and validated my purpose to plant roots here. I was the class of 2018, best class ever. There was Gina at M&T Bank, who believed in my vision from the very start, back when it was just still a very rough plan on paper. There was Jennifer at the Small Business Development Center, who sat with me through early financial projections and helped me tighten up my business plan. And there was Kevin, Suli, Marlena, and the York County Economic Alliance, whose Bloom program provided grant opportunities that helped make all of this possible, an organization that I now proudly serve on the board of. Fire Life Yoga is the most special venture I've ever been a part of. It is a wondrous place where people come together to sweat, laugh, and honestly, just to experience life together. Over the past 3 years, we've grown in ways I never could have predicted. And while the numbers matter, those memberships, the classes, the growth, none of that is really the story. The story is the experience that we create together, day after day, 60 and 90 minutes at a time. Although we offer a wide variety of classes, Bikram Yoga is our foundation. And I'll be honest with you, it's hard. But here's what I've learned watching thousands of people walk through our doors. Life is hard too. And there's something powerful about a room full of people choosing together to rise above a challenge and come out on the other side of it. Every single class, we do that together. When I opened those doors in 2023, it was just me and 2 other instructors teaching 9 classes a week. Today, we've grown to 15 instructors offering more than 30 classes a week. But growth to me was never just about the numbers. It was about how many doors we could open. We partnered with schools, libraries, and local organizations across York to make wellness accessible to people who might not ever walk into a studio otherwise. We launched Fly Well, our corporate and organizational wellness initiative, bringing recovery and movement to employees. And for the past 2 years, we partnered with Drexel University's Health Outreach Project to bring free community health screenings to West York, because I've always believed that our studio should be more than just a place to take class. It should be a place that takes care of our community. We've hosted donation-based classes for causes that our members care about, raising support for Pink Power York and the York County SPCA. We've also partnered with Martin Library to share yoga at their Youth Empowerment Summit and host a teen entrepreneur workshop at their downtown library location. Because part of building something in this community means investing in people who will lead it next. None of this was ever just about a building or just about a business. It's about doing my part to help York thrive economically, culturally, however I can. Some of my favorite parts of Fire Life did not come from me at all. They came from our members. There's a space at our studio that we call the Fly Front Porch. And in 2024, one of our founding members, Carly, came to me with an idea. What if we started a run club? So on summer Friday mornings, we gathered for a front porch stretch, followed by a 2.5-mile run, jog, or walk together. Around that same time, another member, Pat, who's here with us today, started something else entirely, the Fly Crochet Club. For the last 3 summers, we've gathered on the Fly Front Porch, where Pat teaches us all about the fiber arts. We've learned to crochet. She provides yarn and hooks and everything we need to make whatever our hearts desire. I currently have like 5 projects that I'm working on. Hopefully I'll finish one soon. And just last year, one of our members, Melissa, who's also here, proposed the Fly Book Club. These lively and intellectual discussions are truly a monthly highlight. We're currently reading our 13th book since last June. A run club, a crochet club, a book club. None of that was in my business plan. None of it was my idea, but that's exactly the point. Fire Life Yoga was never meant to be just my vision playing out in front of an audience. It became a place where other people's ideas, other people's gifts could show up and take root too. That's what ours really means to me. It's not just that people show up to my studio and patronize the business. It's that they've made it theirs too. The same way I once walked into a stranger's studio and slowly made it mine. So when people ask me what Fire Life Yoga is, I could tell you it's a Bikram yoga studio. That would be true. But it's really a front porch, a run club, a crochet club, and a book club, and 90 minutes of shared sweat 7 days a week. It's proof of what happens when yours and mine turn into ours. So that's the journey. Yours, mine, ours. Somewhere out there, you have a cat, a person who's going to see something in you before you see it in yourself, and who's going to keep you in the room on the day you want to walk out. Let them. Trust them, even when you don't yet trust the process. And somewhere out there, there's a version of you that you haven't met yet. The only way to meet her is to take the leap before you really feel ready. I didn't have a blueprint in 2014. I don't think anyone really does. You build the blueprint by walking, stretching, sweating. And last, whatever you end up building, don't build it to keep it yours forever. The best thing I did for Fire Life Yoga was to let it stop only being mine. Let people bring their ideas and bring their whole selves into what you've made. That's not you losing control of your vision. That's your vision finally becoming big enough to hold other people. Yours, mine, ours. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you to all of our members who have showed up today and my friends. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Tell us more about the Flow and Grow, the entrepreneurship workshop.
So that was a partnership between us and the York County Library. So that was a 6-week workshop where I went and taught yoga to the students that signed up for that. And then we did activities focused on entrepreneurship. So centered around, developing a business idea to solve a problem, and then the steps that they would take to get there. Yeah.
So you kind of did a business in review that you've done, and looking back on it, what, if anything, would you have done differently?
That's a great question. I probably would have trusted myself a little bit more just to hire sooner, So it was very difficult just having so few classes on the schedule and trying to balance that like with the memberships that we offered. So just, really casting that net out to my network. There's so many great yoga teachers in York, and just pulled more people into the fold sooner.
I know that someone or someone's in this room is having a little tingle in the back of their head that's like, maybe I should take a yoga class now. And what would you say to them? What words of encouragement would you give to them?
I would say just trust the process. It's like anything else that you try that's new. It might be intimidating at first, but again, once you take that first step, you get more comfortable. And we have some very supportive instructors and members also. So we'd love to have you.
So besides Bikram, what other yoga classes does Fire Life Yoga offer?
Great question, because I named a whole lot in that presentation. So we offer Vinyasa yoga. We offer Yin yoga. Oh, yes, sure. So actually, Caroline is our Vinyasa instructor. So do you mind answering that question about Vinyasa?
Sure. So it is a flow yoga class, and the class is heated, although not 105 degrees, more like 90, practically mild.
Yes.
And we connect your breath with postures to create your inner freedom, build your strength, your flexibility, and your confidence too. And everyone's going.
Yes. And we get a lot of questions about the heat. So yes, it is hot, either 90 or 105 degrees. It's hot, but it's actually really good. You come into the class already warmed up, so it minimizes injury, just gets the blood circulating, all of those great benefits. We also offer Yin, which I mentioned too. So Yin is like that's a more relaxing practice, mostly practiced on the floor. That's a non-heated class. So you come in, you get some deep stretches, use props to support your body, you know, so that you feel really supported in your stretches. We also have Inferno Hot Pilates. So that's a high intensity interval class, more of like a boot camp style class that's an hour long, and it is hot. So thank you.
Ashana, thank you so much for joining me today, for bringing so many of your friends with you, and just sharing your story of entrepreneurship and all that you've accomplished. We're thrilled to have you with us today. I am curious, how many classes do you have to attend before you rise to the level of a yogi? I like that term. Just one. Okay. Okay. I'm feeling the tingle on the back of my neck or whatever that. I will say one other thing. The July 1st meeting when I was inducted, Kevin Schreiber shared one of my points of interest, which is rap music. So I was sitting there. It took me a little while to understand why everything was Fly, Fire Life of Yoga. I get that now. But one of my first favorite rap songs of the mid 80s was Fly Girl by the Boogie Boys. So if you need a theme song, you might pull that up and check that out. But I think that was John Schmidt's favorite song. I think he told me that as well. So, in honor of our speaker, as you all know, we donate a book to the YWCA. Today's book will be donated to the YWCA Early Learning Center, along with a bookmark made by the students at Creative York, in honor of past President Wilda. Today we have Harold and the Purple Crayon. So, no more octopus books, at least for now. Next week, we'll hear from Chad Adams, Operations Manager at Redco Kurimoto LLC. Through a look at Redco's past, present, and future, attendees will learn how a company founded in York more than 120 years ago has grown into a global leader in continuous process technology. Chad will discuss how Redco's locally manufactured equipment helps some of the world's largest companies solve complex mixing and processing challenges while continuing to create skilled manufacturing and engineering opportunities right here in New York. Our final thought for the day from Audrey Hepburn: nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I am possible. Rotarians, have a great rest of the week, and remember this year's motto: creating lasting impact.